The Lodger, the 11th episode of Series 5, is written by Gareth Roberts and starring Matt Smith, Karen Gillan and James Corden. So Gareth based that episode from his comic in Doctor Who magazine where the 10th Doctor stayed at Mickey's flat while waiting for Rose Tyler and the TARDIS to catch him up in a few days, and by chance saving the Earth by hiding it from the passing space fleet of a violent alien race. Gareth as a child imagines the Doctor experiencing everyday human life and his enjoyment of stories set on Earth rather than in space. And Stephen Moffat is like, you got to do the Lodger episode. Human Nature was also similar, as Paul Cornell adapts from his novel to the episode. During the early writing stages, Gareth had planned an episode, a sequel to a classic era story, Meglos, with the eponymous antiologist of that story returning whilst disguised as an old woman, with the episode being facetiously referred to by some as Mrs. Meglos. For this reason, although the sequel idea would later be dropped due to several concepts within it having already been utilised in multiple other Doctor Who episodes written around the same time. Meglos' cactus-like appearance was deemed to be far too similar to the Vin Bocci that appeared in The End of Time, and the idea of aliens disguise themselves as elderly people had already been done in Amy's Choice. This episode made up the 7th and final production block of the series, along with Amy's Choice. The read-through for both episodes took place on 17th of February 2010 in the Upper Boat Studios. The story replaced another one, The Doctor's Wife, when the latter was pushed back to the next series due to budgetary constraints. On early March 2010, location filming took place in Cardiff. The house in which Craig has his flat is in Westville Road. So the TARDIS appeared, the Doctor came out, and something knocked him off his feet, and the TARDIS disappeared with Amy, leaving the Doctor behind. This is pretty much Amy Light episode.
I think I can see a Ryman's.
So later on, a teenage bloke walks by and there's an old man asking for his help as something terrible has happened. So he went up the stairs with the creepy music. Man, that's scary.
Please help me.
So downstairs, Craig and Sophie plans a pizza boost telly and notice the mark on the ceiling, and Craig said it was just some bloke living upstairs. James Corden, who's known to be in Gavin and Stacey and The Late Late Show with James Corden, he played Craig Owens in Doctor Who lives in a flat and works in Colchester. I really love this character and James is brilliant. I loved his chemistry with the Doctor, they should bring him back as Craig. Daisy Haggett played Sophie, Craig's friend, then later girlfriend, and she's great as well. Because Sophie's friend had a break up, she had to leave to support her friend. Craig is wishing that he could ask her out, as Sophie has left her keys, so he went to answer the door when he says, "I love you," and it turns out to be the Doctor.
I love you.
Well, that's good, because I'm your new lodger.
So he gave Craig a bag full of £20 notes and letting himself in, and I like it when he does the side kiss. So he shows the Doctor his room where it was used to be Mark's, but he moved out because his uncle, who he never heard of, passed away and left a load of money in the will. So the Doctor decides to cook himself an omelette while Amy is having trouble landing the TARDIS. I love the bit when he said he learned to cook in Paris 18th century, no 17th, no 20th, not used to in the right order, and you can tell he's an alien and he doesn't understand much about humans.
That was absolutely brilliant. Where did you learn to cook?
Paris in the 18th century. No, hang on, that's not recent, is it?
So at night, the Doctor talks to Amy on communicator and Craig phones Sophie. A woman who seems like she's walking from nightclub came by, and it was a young bloke who claims that his daughter got hurt. So he tricked that lass into going upstairs and getting killed, which affects the TARDIS. So the next day, the Doctor is in the shower singing La Donnerie Mobile.
Doctor?
Which, funny enough, John Pertwee sang that in the beginning of Inferno. So Craig kept hearing banging, so he went upstairs to see what was going on, which made the Doctor concerned, so the old bloke told Craig that he didn't need his help and closed the door. It is pretty amusing that the Doctor with funny hair in a towel and mistakenly using Craig's toothbrush as he thought it was his sonic screwdriver.
What happened? What's going on?
Is that my toothbrush?
Correct. You spoke to the man upstairs.
Yeah.
What do you look like?
More normal than you do at the moment, mate.
Apparently, it was a different situation in the comic strip, as the Doctor didn't know Craig, as he did with Mickey, and there was an added enemy of the upstairs apartment. When Gareth Roberts started writing for the episodes, he knew the series' overarching plot but was not aware it was to be casted as the 11th Doctor, so Gareth based the Doctor's lines on those written in Moffat's completed scripts, and further characterization was added by Matt Smith's reading of the lines. And I loved Craig's line where he says, "Come and save me with my toothbrush." When I was a kid, I was thinking they should do a British sitcom series called Come and Save Me with My Toothbrush. I know, it's random, but I think it works. So anyway, Sophie came by and meets the Doctor, and well, he's up for a football match, and I think the football scene is awesome. And it's funny that the fact that it is the same guy but with different face, I don't think we would have seen William Hartnell as the Doctor doing that. The location for the football match was Victoria Park, the play area that had previously been used as a location in Forest of the Dead. Matt Smith performed his own athletics in the football match shots, as he did have past experience as a youth footballer, having played for the youth teams of Northampton Town, in Nottingham Forest and Leicester City, before a back injury led him into acting career. As such, little choreography was needed for the sequence. So after the Doctor got so good at football, a woman hears a little girl asking for help in Craig's flat. She said she lost her mum, so the woman came upstairs and got killed with the time loop where Craig opens the can and getting sprayed. So the Doctor got Amy to stop the TARDIS from going into the vortex, and he said it might happen. So in the evening, Craig and Sophie noticed that Mark is getting worse, and the Doctor appeared out of nowhere and doesn't seem to like wine, and he suggested to Sophie that she should travel.
Of course it's not true. I'm not staying in a call centre all my life. I can do anything I want. Oh, yeah, right.
The Doctor has managed to build a serious mega gizmo, which is non-technological technology of Lammas steam. So Craig touched the Mark and got electric shock, so then the Doctor came into his room the next morning, and Craig seemed to be unwell, and the Doctor's noticed the mark on his arm. So he grabbed some stuff from the bin and elsewhere in the kitchen with a stack of tea bags, and managed to make him better, so he advised him to rest. But Craig said he needed to go to work for planning meeting, so Craig woke up 7 hours and a half later and quickly got dressed and ran to work in a call centre. The Doctor happens to be there, he fired the client, and he's done pretty well in the planning meeting.
Love the Doctor, he was brilliant in the planning meeting.
You went to the planning meeting?
Yes, I was your representative. We don't need Mr. Lang anymore. Rude Mr. Lang.
So Craig goes home and sees Mega Gizmo, so the Doctor arrived learning from the cats. People go upstairs, never come back down, and so there's Craig wanting the Doctor to leave because of the recent events, including people loving him and driven Sophie away and the Mega Gizmo. The Doctor headbutts Craig and we get a flashback with his previous incarnations and calls himself the 11th. So he headbutts Craig and finally he understands the Doctor. Sophie came in and the girl is asking her for help, so she went upstairs. At that moment where the Doctor and Craig are at the top stairs, Amy lets them know that there is no upstairs.
There is no upstairs!
They went in and it looks dark and pretty grim of a TARDIS. So Sophie gets pulled into the machine and Craig saved her, so then it happened to the Doctor. Craig saved him by pressing the button and Sophie did, as after when he told Sophie how he feels about her.
Kiss the girl! Kiss the girl!
So they kissed, then they left the house and the top floor was a spaceship. And no one walking past noticed that the top floor is gone because of the perception filter. It tricks their memories. The ceiling is fixed, there's Craig and Sophie smooching, and the Doctor was about to leave but got caught by Sophie and Craig. Craig wanted the Doctor to keep the keys and he promised he will return, so the Doctor is finally in the TARDIS with Amy and asking her to reach for a red pen. So Amy picked up an engagement ring with the crack on the wall at Craig's wall behind the bin. The ending gave me the goosebumps with the music. When the Doctor introduced himself to the timeship Avatar as Captain Troy Handsome of International Rescue, that was a reference to both Captain Troy Tempest from Stingray and International Rescue from Thunderbirds, both shows created by Jerry and Sylvia Anderson.
Hello, I'm Captain Troy Hanson of International Rescue. Please state the nature of your emergency.
Stephen Cooper of Slant Magazine also saw a reference to the emergency medical hologram, the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager, as the Doctor continued, "Please state the nature of your emergency." So yeah, I really love this episode, definitely my favourite Series 5 episode. What did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks people, as always, for watching, and see you in the next video.